Dr. Zhao's hands trembled as she downloaded the encrypted files to her personal data crystal. Outside her lab window, celebration fireworks bloomed across Earth's major cities, each explosion illuminating faces filled with hope and wonder. The contrast twisted her stomach into knots. Joy below, terrible truth in her hands. She needed allies, but who could she trust? The Concordat's telepathic Voidborn could pluck suspicious thoughts from unwary minds. Already, 3 world leaders had signed preliminary resource-sharing agreements after private meetings with alien diplomats. Too convenient, too quick. Her lab door slid open with a soft hiss. Commander Rivera of Earth Security entered, his uniform immaculate, but his eyes red-rimmed from sleepless nights coordinating first contact protocols. Doctor, the Concordat representatives are requesting your presence at tomorrow's scientific exchange. They seem particularly interested in your xenolinguistics research. Zhao studied his face carefully. Rivera had been skeptical of the aliens from the beginning, a career military man's natural caution. If anyone might believe her, it would be him. Commander, I need to show you something, but we can't talk here. She gestured subtly toward the ceiling sensors. Perhaps you'd like to see our new quantum interference lab. It's completely isolated from external networks for experiment stability. Understanding flickered in his eyes. Once inside the shielded lab, Zhao activated her data crystal. 3-dimensional projections filled the air, translation algorithms, fleet movements, and finally, the damning strategic assessment of Earth's defenses. They cataloged every military installation, resource deposit, and population center. She explained, pointing to highlighted regions. This isn't diplomatic language, it's invasion planning. Look at these deployment patterns. They'd done this before, Rivera. Many times. The commander's face hardened as he absorbed the evidence. How long do we have? Their timetable suggests 30 days of diplomatic preparation before they drop all pretense. They're positioning fleet elements while distracting us with technological trinkets. We need to alert the Alliance, Rivera said, already reaching for his secure communicator. Zhao caught his wrist. Their Voidborn can sense intent. If we broadcast alarm, they'll accelerate their timeline. We need to appear cooperative while secretly preparing. Rivera paced the small lab, military mind calculating impossible odds. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. The firepower I've seen on just one of their scout ships could level a continent. But they have weaknesses, Zhao insisted, pulling up biological scans her instruments had secretly gathered. Look at their neural patterns. The 3 species think fundamentally differently. The Voidborn process information through collective consciousness, almost no individual thought. The Mekarks are half-machine, hyper-logical but inflexible. And the Geniford are biological perfectionists who've eliminated what they consider evolutionary flaws. How does this help us against planet-killing weapons? Zhao's eyes gleamed with the first spark of hope. Because in making themselves perfect, they've forgotten something crucial that humans never will, which is how to adapt when everything goes wrong. She closed the projection with a sweep of her hand. And we're going to ensure everything goes spectacularly wrong for them. After the stunned silence, arguments erupted across the Alliance chamber. General Chen slammed his fist on the table, his metals jingling with the impact. This is suicide. We should negotiate surrender terms while we still have something to bargain with. Rodriguez remained calm, her eyes never leaving the holographic display of the Concordat fleet. She zoomed in on a particular formation pattern, a perfect hexagonal arrangement that no human fleet would maintain. Tell me, General, what happened during the Jakarta tsunami crisis when your supply lines were cut. Chen frowned at the apparent non sequitur. We improvised. Used fishing boats to evacuate civilians. Converted a sports stadium into a hospital. What's your point? My point is that you succeeded because the disaster didn't read your textbook. The Concordat has never faced an enemy that doesn't follow conventional strategic doctrine. Rodriguez manipulated the display, highlighting communication patterns between alien vessels. They maintain constant formation integrity, even when tactical advantage would suggest otherwise. They value perfection over opportunity. Admiral Okonkwo, who had remained silent until now, leaned forward. "What exactly are you proposing, Captain?" Rodriguez tapped her tablet, sending battle plans to the room's displays. "A war without rules. We engage, then retreat before they can establish targeting solutions. We sacrifice decoy fleets to mask real strategic movements. We broadcast contradictory orders on frequencies we know they're monitoring." She walked around the table, making eye contact with each military leader. "The Concordat expects us to either surrender immediately or mount a traditional defense that they can overwhelm with superior firepower. They've conquered 17 worlds using the same methodical approach. We'll be the first to show them something they've never seen before." Dr. Zhao, newly appointed as Kinology Advisor, added support. "Captain Rodriguez is right. My analysis of their communication patterns shows they have no protocols for adapting to irrational adversaries. They literally cannot comprehend strategies that prioritize long-term success over immediate tactical efficiency." The room fell quiet as the implications sank in. Finally, the Alliance president spoke. "This approach goes against every military doctrine we've established. You're asking us to seem weak, to lose battles intentionally, to sacrifice ships and personnel for deception rather than direct engagement." "Yes," Rodriguez answered without hesitation, "because fighting them directly is guaranteed defeat. This is our only chance." After a tense moment, the president nodded. "Very well, Captain Rodriguez. You have authorization to implement your strategy with one condition. I want daily reports and the option to revert to conventional response if your approach fails." "Understood, Madam President." As the meeting adjourned, Admiral Okonkwo pulled Rodriguez aside. "You know what you're asking of our people. To fight battles they believe they're meant to lose." Rodriguez's expression remained resolute. "I'm asking them to trust that sometimes retreating from 9 battles is the only way to win the 10th, and that 10th battle will save Earth." She stared out the viewport of the stars, knowing that somewhere among them, the Concordat was preparing their invasion, completely unaware that humans were about to rewrite the rules of warfare itself. The shuttle's engines whined as they pushed beyond safe operational parameters, the hull vibrating as Volkov piloted them away from the Concordat outpost. In the cargo hold, Wei and Al-Zarani frantically worked to stabilize the stolen data cores, connecting them to human interfaces never designed for alien technology. "We've got maybe 20 minutes before these cores degrade," Wei muttered, fingers dancing across his keyboard. "Their quantum encryption is collapsing outside their network environment." Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comms. "What do you have?" "Everything," Al-Zarani replied, eyes wide as information cascaded across her screens. "Fleet deployments, species physiological baselines, communication protocols." But Amara. The transmission showing Sergeant Amara continued playing on a side monitor. The Geneforg scientists circled her with clinical detachment, scanning her with instruments that sent visible waves of discomfort across her stoic features. She revealed nothing, even as they tested her pain thresholds. "She knew the risk," Rodriguez said, her voice tight with controlled emotion. "And she's still helping us. Look at what she's doing." Wei frowned, then understanding dawned. "She's blinking in Morse code." "Exactly. She's feeding them false information while giving us actionable intelligence." Rodriguez enhanced the image. "She's telling us the Concordat command structure is more fragile than it appears. The 3 species maintain an alliance of convenience, not trust." Back at the lunar facility, Rodriguez assembled the team to analyze their stolen intelligence. Holographic displays showed the inner workings of Concordat technology and biology in unprecedented detail. Each species has engineered themselves into evolutionary corners, Al-Zarani explained, highlighting neural patterns in a void-born specimen. The void-born telepathy is powerful but brittle. They've eliminated neural pathways that process cognitive dissonance. They literally cannot hold contradictory thoughts. Y pointed to mechanical components in charge physiology. Their AI systems rely on quantum decision trees with perfect logical consistency. Introduce an illogical variable, and their entire system requires recalibration. Volkov, cleaning alien residue from his vintage combat knife, added, "The Geniford are physically impressive, but environmentally inflexible. They've optimized for specific combat conditions and sacrificed adaptability." Rodriguez absorbed every detail, her mind assembling the fragments into a cohesive strategy. So we have 3 adversaries, each with distinct vulnerabilities, barely tolerating each other. But they still have overwhelming technological superiority, White reminded her. One Concordat dreadnought could destroy our entire fleet. True, Rodriguez acknowledged. But they've never faced an enemy who understood them better than they understand themselves. She magnified an image showing tension in a meeting between the 3 species commanders. And they've certainly never faced an enemy willing to lose battles to win a war. She stood, facing her unlikely team of specialists. Our next phase is critical. We need to make them show us their weapons capabilities without losing too many of our people. And we need to recover Amara before they break through her resistance. How? Volkov asked. Their security is impenetrable. Rodriguez's smile held no humor. We're going to give them exactly what they expect, and then do something they can't possibly anticipate. Rodriguez stood before the memorial wall hastily erected in the Alliance headquarters. 2 million names scrolled in a continuous digital display, every soul lost on Mars. She reached out, touching the screen where a family name passed by. People she had known during her training at Olympus Base. Captain. Wei approached quietly, respecting her moment of grief. The analysis is complete. You were right. They moved to the tactical room where the team had assembled. Al-Zarani manipulated the 3-dimensional display showing the Concordat attack on Mars in slow motion. Their weapon systems operate on precise timing, she explained, highlighting energy signatures across the alien fleet. 19.4 seconds between firing sequences. No variation whatsoever. Volkov pointed to ship movements. Look here. Their destroyer had a clear shot at the main colony dome, but waited 4 seconds to maintain formation with the battle group. They prioritized geometric precision over tactical advantage. We brought up his latest creation, a small device that pulsed with subtle blue light. This is the Quantum Ghost Network prototype. It creates communication channels that exist in a state of quantum uncertainty, essentially invisible to conventional scanning. Can you deploy it fleet-wide? Rodriguez asked. Within 2 weeks, but it's not their technology that interests me most. We displayed footage of Concordat ships responding to debris from destroyed Martian defense platforms. Their evasive maneuvers are mathematically perfect but contextually inappropriate. They calculate optimal trajectories without considering tactical positioning. It's as if they've never had to improvise, Rodriguez finished. They've always been so dominant that optimization trumped adaptation. Al-Zarani added her findings. The neurological disruptor is ready for field testing. It generates patterns that should create interference in void-borne telepathic networks, like static on an old radio. Rodriguez moved to the central display and outlined her strategy. We'll deploy Operation Trojan Horse in 3 phases. First, a seemingly desperate attack on their forward elements near Europa. We'll gather targeting data while appearing incompetent. Sacrificial lambs, Volkov muttered. Tactical scouts, Rodriguez corrected firmly. Each ship will be minimally crewed with volunteer veterans. Their retreat patterns will seed quantum sensors throughout the Jupiter approach corridor. She expanded the display to show the entire solar system. Phase 2. Synchronized hit-and-run attacks across multiple fronts, each designed to appear uncoordinated. We'll feed them contradictory intelligence, suggesting panic in our command structure. And Phase 3, Wei asked. We show them something they've never seen before, a species that doesn't fear defeat. She highlighted the asteroid belt. We're placing our most powerful weapons here, concealed within mining operations. When the time comes, we'll draw them into terrain that negates their formation advantages. Admiral Okonkwo, observing silently until now, finally spoke. The Security Council has approved your strategy, Captain. They've also approved your promotion to Commodore, effective immediately. Rodriguez shook her head. Unnecessary. Necessary for what comes next, Okonkwo insisted. The soldiers need to know their leader has the full weight of Earth's authority. As they dispersed to implement the plan, Wei lingered. Do you think it will work? Rodriguez studied the Mars Memorial one last time. It has to. Because if it doesn't, that display will need to show 8 billion more names. The aftermath of the first coordinated strikes exceeded even Rodriguez's expectations. On the main tactical display, the once perfect Concordat formation had developed noticeable asymmetries. Alliance officers watched in amazement as alien ships adjusted positions to maintain distance from supposed allies. Magnify Sector 7, Rodriguez ordered. The display zoomed to show a Mecharch cruiser altering course to avoid Geneforge vessels. Their command channels are chaotic, reported Lieutenant Park from Communications. We're picking up verification requests between ships that previously operated on implicit trust. Wei's analysis confirmed their strategy was working. The virus we implanted is subtly altering their internal communications, nothing obvious enough to detect as sabotage, just enough to seed doubt. And the Voidborn? Rodriguez asked. Al-Zarani displayed neural pattern readings from captured communications. Their telepathic network is showing fracture points. The disruptor created dissonance they can't resolve. They're questioning perceptions they previously took for granted. Rodriguez studied the tactical situation with guarded optimism. What had begun as a seemingly hopeless defense had evolved into something the Concordat had never experienced: uncertainty. The Geneforge commander has ordered his ships to establish a separate attack vector, Park announced. They're no longer coordinating directly with Mecharch units. Perfect, Rodriguez said quietly. Time for Phase 2. Deploy the specialized response units. Across the solar system, Earth's remaining ships activated from hidden positions. Unlike conventional Navy vessels, these have been modified specifically to exploit the weaknesses of each alien species. Electromagnetic pulse ships targeted Mecharch vessels, disrupting their quantum computing systems. Chaotic thought pattern broadcasters overwhelmed Voidborn telepathic networks. Environmental modulation weapons created rapidly shifting conditions that confounded Geneforged biological optimizations. On the command deck of the Alliance flagship, Rodriguez coordinated the asymmetric response. When a subordinate reported an opportunity to destroy a damaged Mecharch dreadnought, she countermanded the attack. Hold position. Let it limp back to their fleet. But Commodore, we could eliminate their most powerful. We're not trying to win battles, she interrupted. We're trying to win the war. That damaged ship will spread confusion about why we didn't finish it off. They'll waste resources trying to understand our illogical decision. As predicted, the Concordat's unified command structure continued to degrade. The Voidborn commander demanded the Mecharch ships explain their altered formation. The Mecharch admiral questioned why Geneforged vessels had repositioned without notification. The Geneforged commander ordered his elite units to operate independently from compromised Allied forces. They're breaking apart from within, Volkov observed with grim satisfaction. Their perfect coordination is becoming their perfect weakness. Rodriguez nodded, but her expression remained serious. This is just the beginning. They still outnumber and outgun us, but we've accomplished something crucial. We've made them doubt. She turned to Wei. How soon can we implement the next phase? The asteroid belt defenses are at 70%. We need another 48 hours. Then we give them another mystery to solve, Rodriguez decided. Prepare Operation Phantom Fleet. Let's show them ghosts they can't possibly explain. Back in Earth's secure medical facility, Sergeant Amara underwent treatment for the experiments performed on her. Despite her ordeal, she insisted on meeting with Rodriguez's team immediately. They gathered around her recovery bed, recording devices active. Their entire approach to warfare is fundamentally flawed, Amara explained, her voice hoarse but determined. They've never evolved tactics for fighting equals. They don't have contingency plans for sustained resistance. We nodded. That explains why their responses seem increasingly erratic. They're improvising, and they're terrible at it. Worse than that, Amara continued, their command structure can't process adaptable opponents. I watched their scientists try to understand my resistance. A grim smile crossed her face. They kept expecting me to break according to predictable psychological patterns. When I didn't, they assumed their models were misapplied, not wrong. Al-Zarani displayed her analysis of the Jennifer biological data recovered during the rescue. Look at their genetic engineering approach. They've optimized every system for specific performance parameters with no redundancy. Their strength, speed, and sensory abilities exceed human capability by orders of magnitude. But they've engineered out their ability to adapt to unexpected conditions. Rodriguez finished, seeing the pattern. Precisely. Al-Zarani confirmed. They've created hundreds of specialist subtypes, each perfect for specific environments and combat roles. But put them in conditions they weren't designed for, and they become dangerously vulnerable. Volkov, standing by the window overlooking Earth's remaining defense installations, turned to face the group. So we force them to fight in environments they can't predict. Amara struggled to sit up straighter. There's something else you need to understand about them. During my captivity, I realized they have no concept of sacrifice. They expected me to preserve myself at all costs. When I deliberately endured pain to mislead them, they couldn't comprehend it. That's consistent with their tactical patterns, Rodriguez said. They always withdraw damaged ships, always preserve assets even at the cost of strategic advantage. Because they've never faced extinction, Amara explained. In their 10,000-year history, they've always been the existential threat, never faced one themselves. They don't understand fighting with nothing to lose. Rodriguez's expression hardened with resolve. Then we'll teach them. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent communication. Lieutenant Park's holographic image appeared above the conference table. Commodore, we've detected unusual movement across Earth's civilian sectors. People are creating something. The display shifted to show footage from cities around the world. In basements, garages, and makeshift workshops, civilians were constructing homemade countermeasures against Concordat technology. University students had developed jamming devices that disrupted McArch targeting systems. Farmers had repurposed agricultural drones to create decoy swarms that confused alien sensors. Children's network gaming groups had devised randomized communication protocols that Concordat intelligence couldn't predict. They're innovating without central coordination, Weiss said, amazed. Rodriguez smiled, her first genuine smile since Mars. The Concordat studies our military capabilities but doesn't understand our people. Every human on Earth is now a weapons designer, each creating solutions the aliens can't anticipate because no central plan guides them. Chaotic innovation, Al-Zarani whispered, the perfect counter to their perfect order. The evacuation ships departed in waves, each vessel packed beyond safety limits with lunar colonists. Children pressed their faces against viewports for a last glimpse of the only home many had ever known. Behind them, the dome lights of Armstrong City still glowed, maintained by the skeleton crew who had volunteered to stay behind. Rodriguez walked through the colony's hydroponics section, now eerily quiet without the usual technicians. Lieutenant Colonel Davis, commander of the volunteer force, fell into step beside her. The last civilian transport leaves in 3 hours, he reported. After that, it's just us, 20,000 against their armada. You don't have to fight, Rodriguez reminded him. Your job is to maintain the illusion of normal operations. Once they commit their fleet to the attack, you evacuate through the emergency tunnels. Davis nodded, though both knew the evacuation plan was more hope than certainty. The weapons are placed as you specified. If they follow expected attack patterns, they'll trigger our defenses in sequence. Rodriguez paused before a memorial statue commemorating the first lunar landing. When humanity first came here, it was considered impossible by many. We're good at achieving the impossible. Some would say your entire strategy is impossible, Davis noted. That's why it will work. She handed him a small data crystal. This contains everything we've learned about Concordat weaknesses. If the main plan fails, this becomes humanity's legacy. The next resistance will know where to strike. As Rodriguez prepared to board the last command shuttle, the volunteer crew lined the corridor in silent respect. These were not fresh-faced soldiers, but veteran lunar colonists, miners, engineers, technicians, people who had already built one impossible dream and were now defending it with their lives. Back at Alliance headquarters, the final preparations for the trap were underway. The asteroid belt bristled with concealed weapons platforms and strike craft. Human pilots had trained relentlessly in the chaotic gravitational conditions that the Concordat ships found so disorienting. Y finalized the targeting systems, which deliberately incorporated randomized variables. Their prediction algorithms work on pattern recognition, he explained. By introducing controlled chaos into our firing solutions, we make ourselves effectively invisible to their tactical computers. Al-Zarani's team had created environmental manipulation systems designed to neutralize Geneforged advantages. Their biology is optimized for vacuum, radiation, and specific gravity conditions, she said. We can modulate all three within localized fields. Volkov briefed his boarding team one final time. They were an unlikely strike force: asteroid miners, zero construction workers, and salvage specialists. People intimately familiar with operating in the belt's unpredictable environment. We won't have the strength or speed of Geneforged warriors, he told them bluntly. But they've never fought in mining tunnels or maintenance shafts. They've never had to improvise with whatever tools were at hand. We have. Rodriguez received the final confirmation. The Concordat fleet had detected the apparent vulnerability at Lunar Colony and was adjusting course accordingly. For the first time since the conflict began, all three alien species had reunified their forces for what they believed would be the decisive strike. They took the bait, she announced to the command staff. All ships to final positions. This ends today, one way or another. 1 year after the decisive battle, the rebuilt observation deck of Armstrong City offered an unparalleled view of Earth, hanging like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. Admiral Rodriguez stood silent, watching the first diplomatic vessel ascend from the planet's surface. It carried representatives from 17 formerly subjugated worlds, now finding their own paths to independence in the power vacuum left by the Concordat's defeat. The void-born philosopher, T. Lara, approached, her normally perfect posture showing subtle signs of adaptation to lunar gravity. Your species continues to confound our understanding, she admitted. We expected vengeance. Instead, you offer partnership. Vengeance is predictable, Rodriguez replied. We prefer to be unpredictable. Across the observation deck, Wei demonstrated Earth's latest quantum communication system to a group of fascinated Mecharch engineers. Their cybernetic implants struggled to process the deliberately randomized algorithms that made the system so effective. Your approach defies optimization, the lead Mecharch observed. Wei smiled. Exactly. By incorporating controlled entropy, we create systems that can't be hacked through pattern recognition. Nearby, Al-Zarani engaged in animated discussion with Geneforged scientists about Earth's approach to genetic diversity. Your pursuit of perfection created specialized excellence, but eliminated adaptability, she explained. Human genetic engineering takes the opposite approach. We enhance existing adaptability, rather than replacing it with specialization. The Geneforged commander who had surrendered with dignity now served as the primary liaison between his people and humanity. He studied the blueprints for the new joint exploration vessels. These ships incorporate technology from all four species, he noted with approval. Yet the design principles are uniquely human. Redundant systems, multiple contingencies, deliberate inefficiencies that allow for adaptation. We build for the unexpected, Rodriguez explained. Because in our experience, the unexpected always happens. Dr. Zhao, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the galactic community, joined them. The treaty ratification is complete. For the first time in Concordat history, formerly conquered worlds have equal standing with the founding species. Rodriguez watched as ships bearing the new unified insignia prepared for departure. "What will your people do now?" she asked the Geneforge commander. "Your entire civilization was built around conquest and hierarchy." "We will learn what you already know," he replied thoughtfully. "That true strength lies not in perfection, but in the capacity to evolve." As the diplomatic reception continued, Rodriguez slipped away to a quiet corner of the observation deck. She accessed a private terminal displaying the names of those lost in the conflict: the Mars colonists, the lunar volunteers, the pilots and crews who had sacrificed themselves in battles designed to be lost so that the war might be won. The Voidborn philosopher followed, her telepathic sensitivity detecting Rodriguez's moment of reflection. "You mourn them still, even in victory." "Always," Rodriguez answered. "That's another difference between us. You saw sacrifice as weakness. We know it's our greatest strength." From Earth came the newest generation of ships, vessels incorporating technologies no single species could have developed alone. They represented something unprecedented in the galaxy: cooperation born from conflict, strength emerging from acknowledged imperfection. "Perfect is the enemy of survival," Rodriguez murmured, echoing what had become Earth's new motto. "But together, we might achieve something better than perfection."